That's ISO. Rack it up, rack it up.
Alexis Bernardino, more commonly known as Alex to his colleagues and peers, and has over 20 years of combined solid experience in telecommunications and principal vendor space, specializing in IP networking and cybersecurity.
In my part of the discussion, I will focus more on the technicality on cybersecurity and its pivotal role in business continuity agenda of all of the organizations. So I will wear my architecture and engineering hat and also my operation hat to be able to deliver this messaging. So on our part one of the cyber session, so it was discussed that in today's cyber landscape, it's no longer a question of if your organization is going to be breached or attacked or how. It's only a matter of when. So at this point, we will now discuss naman the role of cybersecurity in business continuity. I want to start with this slide. So in cybersecurity, we implement different layers of security. So it's no longer if you have one layer, for example, perimeter security, you are assured already of 100% security. So that's a false sense of security. So you have to take a look cybersecurity on an end-to-end perspective. So this is an example of a defense in-depth layer where you look at cybersecurity from the different layers of the infrastructure. So I further translated this one for better appreciation to a reference architecture diagram. So I know some of you guys here are technical. You appreciate more an architecture diagram like me, right? So these are the different domains in cybersecurity that you need to build across to be able to have a resilient infrastructure. So the domains include Security Operations Center, Cloud, Data Security, Application Security, Legal and Regulatory, Trust Center, and of course, the network and infrastructure security. Now, I remember during my first year in PLDT Group, our CISO asked me, so Alex, you designed me a strategy wherein you could provide a resiliency and business continuity of the security controls within PLDT Group. So that was a hard task for me given the time because, PLDT Group is a large organization given the amount of infrastructure that we have both on the fixed, wireless, and our IT side. So I started on the basic. I contemplated and said, okay, do we have a basic network segmentation that is being implemented now in the group? So what I did, this is where I started the journey of PLDT Group in terms of cyber resiliency. So we implemented what we called a network segmentation. So we defined the zones that we are operating in the network infrastructure and classify our asset. I hope you remember last session when Dean Michelle highlighted the importance of knowing thy assets in cybersecurity because visibility is absolute in cybersecurity and where to put those assets. So on our end, we identify critical layers, like highly restricted zone where all our most critical assets are here, control zone, operational zone, etc. Right? This is how I slice and dice the infrastructure of PLDT and SMART to be able to implement cybersecurity to aid the business and business continuity and resiliency of the group. So on this one, you could see the red ones, right? So I group the organization according to the wireless group, which is our SMART, the wireless company. The fixed one is PLDT and corporate and IT system cloud. So I also created a segmentation for my most crown asset, What assets do you have in the organization that if and when a successful breach happen could have a catastrophic effect in your organization? Number one, operationally. Number two, reputationally. Number three, financially. So these are those assets, our big data, our billing, our OCS, our prepaid loading system that if this got disrupted even for an hour, we are losing 45 million pesos on this one. Our orchestration, our subsea, our AAA, and some other parts of the infrastructure like DNS and other cloud security function. So the red one, you could see these are the threats in the infrastructure that you need to mitigate, okay? Now, putting in the control, okay, those are the control. You could observe on our first year, what I did is I concentrated the control on my most critical asset because deploying cybersecurity business continuity plan is implemented not only on a year's time, but it's a continuous, as Mel mentioned. It's a continuous journey, right? So during the first year, I deployed most of the control on our highly restricted zone where our most critical assets are. Of course, I deployed other controls within the boundaries of my perimeter and other segments of the network. Always remember, guys, in cybersecurity, in any cyber kill chain, you need to break the tactic, techniques, and procedure of the hacker to be able to, the hacker doesn't have a complete kill chain to be able to exfiltrate data from your organization. For example, he was able to enter you on one infrastructure, but he was not able to fully breach you because you have another controls on another layers of the infrastructure. That was segment on it. So other controls that was implemented after, which are this one. No? So, but again, we are not saying that because we implemented all of this security control, doesn't mean that we are already 100% secured, right? So going to my next slide, this is one, I pick it up from here. So it is a DNS security, just a use case to be able to prove that cybersecurity is really related to business continuity. I pick up the DNS security portion. No? So in PLDT Smart, we are protecting the DNS layer of our subscriber, both for our fixed and wireless. As a use case, I use this one to show you how we are implementing high resiliency, high availability, and disaster recovery in terms of our DNS infrastructure. And not only that, I want to share to you also that implementing security control doesn't only secure your infra, but rather it's part of business continuity, yes, and it's also improving customer experience. So later on, I will show you some data that we had in the field that shows that because of the implementation of such security control, the experience of our clients has improved a lot. No? So here, going to the infrastructure from our base station, our subscriber, for example, for North Luzon and Metro Manila, passing through our IP transport network, going to our packet core, going to the CGNAT, then there is the DNS security embedded to it. No? So design-wise, we implemented the DNS security right after the CGNAT to be able for it to be as near as possible to our subscriber. So for the purpose of representation, this is not actual for the security purpose and data privacy purpose. So one site is represented by Vitro Clark, one of our data center, and one site is represented by Vitro Makati. Okay? And of course, we have also a disaster recovery site, which is somewhere also in our infrastructure. So as you could see, on the per site level, you have already redundancy in terms of server. So you are represented by EDNS1 and EDNS2. Now, when you map the traffic already, so the first query from Metro Manila subscriber is also going to Makati, right? And also for North Luzon, it's going to Vitro Clark. But on the next phase, you could see as well that the traffic coming from the Metro Manila subscriber, its secondary is the DNS on Vitro Clark, as well as the North Luzon subscriber, its secondary DNS is on Vitro Makati. Now, if worst comes to worst, that this infrastructure gets disrupted or gets compromised or whatever reason that the internet of PLDT Smart will get down, there is the third layer of security. No? This is the disaster recovery, this one. So that if everything else fails, there is a master DNS that will be complementing my high availability and disaster recovery site. So now, by improving this infrastructure, this is what we have gained. No? So we improve the DNS protection coverage because, as you know, if your DNS is down, your subscriber cannot browse the internet, no? Because it's the one resolving the domain to IP addresses which is known to the internet. Now, this is the effect of that. We reduce the browsing latency from 108 milliseconds to 39 seconds. No? And of course, since it is nearer the subscriber, if and when there is an incident of hacking, incident of phishing, or any malicious incident, we could trace it back to our subscriber using the security. And of course, it is future-proofing our infra in terms of 5G and network function virtualization ready. So just to share to you some data, this is what we have, we have gained over the implementation of DNS security. No? So from the previous 9 hops from our previous vendor, it's now down to 4 hops and 5 hops. No? So there's an improvement from 45% to 66%. Now, in terms of latency, this is the improvement. From the prior 108 milliseconds, we now gone through 41 and 37 milliseconds. So what I want you to note there is that even you implement security controls in your infrastructure or in your network, it's not more on the security portion of it. Of course, it is business continuity, number one, but also, more importantly, how you improve the experience of your subscriber. That's what's more important in that part of cybersecurity plus business continuity. And to end my part of the talk, I want to share with you this. Said, with the lockdown, you will have some time to rest. But the child responded with a teary-eyed, I work in cybersecurity. So meaning, cybersecurity discipline, it's not only a 24/7 job. So in today's landscape, we don't have a leisure to rest. You need to remain paranoid. You need to remain vigilant while maintaining business continuity in your organization. But at the end of the day, what will save you in this cyber landscape is really the paranoia and vigilance. With that, I want to thank you everyone for listening.
I have another question for Alexis, and there's this term that I hear. So it's called demilitarized zone. So, and is this something, can you explain a little bit how this demilitarized zone works? And is it something that I have to always adopt?
So the DMC is part of this public access zone. So meaning if you want to access resources internally to your operational zone, control zone, highly restricted zone, you need to pass to this DMZ or demilitarized zone. So this is the demarcation between your public zone and your internal zone. So this is where basically your perimeter security will be. Your perimeter firewall is placed facing the internet and also facing your data center side. So that's the demilitarized zone. Most of the organization implement this as part of their network segmentation strategy. Okay.
I'd like to ask a question to Mr. Alexis Bernardino. Maybe you can share, given that I think the PLDT infrastructure that you mentioned, that you presented a while ago, is quite secure. So much for that. But can you share to us, how does a conglomerate like PLDT doing some sort of a simulation in the event of a security attack? Reason why, because I would like to, somehow correlate with my existing organization. Thank you.
In PLDT Group, we are doing this called what we call the Cyber D-Day simulation. So we started this as a tabletop during phase 1, no, wherein we actually simulated different attacks happening in your infrastructure, like DDoS attack, ransomware, data theft, compromised account, etc. So we further elevate that on phase 2 and phase 3. As a matter of fact, last Monday, our cybersecurity operation group ran again the 5th series of that one. So it's an actual live attack simulation that is happening to our network. So we attack, meaning we attack our own network. We attack in terms of ransomware, in terms of DDoS, in terms of data breach, etc. So that we will know how our controls, number one, how our controls originally put in place to be able to protect us fair to this attack. That's number one. Number two is to baseline our teams, not only the cybersecurity teams, but the IT teams, the telco teams, who will respond in an event of a cyber breach incident. So during our third run, when I was still with the cybersecurity operation, we got a baseline already. So 1 minute notification time of any cyber incident that will happen or will cause breach to us, to our top management, and 5 minutes for the cybersecurity operation group to respond and mitigate the attack. So that's the current baseline that we have now for PLDT Group. I hope I answer you, JR, in terms of that one.
Yes. Thank you so much, Alexis.
Okay. So there's a question on the process of segmentation that you implemented in PLDT. Aside from protection of data, was the existing business process also recommended to be reviewed and become part of the strategy towards? Okay, thank you, Darwin, for that question. No? So it's very enlightening. No? As a matter of fact, yes, the answer to your question is yes. So in the context of implementing network segmentation, although the objective really is to protect the data, but the business process should also be included. Remember when I told you a while ago when I mentioned the processes or the assets or the crown jewel I put on the HRZ or the highly restricted zone, right? So I mentioned something about we are losing money. If this get disrupted for an hour, we are losing 45 million peso. So yes, definitely, because in cybersecurity, it's more on the four things, no? People, process, technology, plus cyber intelligence, no? So we are also contemplating or integrating the cyber strategy that we have with the business processes that we are implementing in the organization wide, no? So meaning, again, in any cyber incident, more than the business disruption, that's number one, operational impact. But number two, in cybersecurity, we have to consider the reputational damage that it could do to the company, like, PLDT for my case, Meralco for the case of Mel, AIM for Dean, right? QT for Attorney Bina, right? So that is well considered and should be part of the strategy towards data security. Thank you, Darwin, for that question. So is it a good practice to separate sensitive information from personal information in terms of database architecture so that you can avoid a full breach and report to NPC? So yeah, I'll answer first the first part, no? So I agree with this strategy. Yes, this could be done. Separating your most sensitive information from your PIIs. But in terms of us in telco, we don't scrutinize kasi, no? We don't scrutinize the importance of a particular information. Everything in terms of cybersecurity and data privacy is really important to us. So we give high priority to PIIs of our customer. We give also high priority to sensitive information of our company. Now, in terms of reporting to NPC as a highly regulated telecommunication company, actually we are obliged, no? So we don't avoid reporting any breach. If there is a known breach to our infrastructure, we automatically report it to NPC for the obvious reason that we are a highly regulated organization and a telco. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Now, for my parting words, my final message to our viewers tonight, no? So because we are talking about cyber resiliency and business continuity. For me, cyber preparedness is the key to this one. So meaning, all of us, maybe some of you are working in corporate organization, cybersecurity professional, heading the cybersecurity operation group, we should operate on an assume breach mode. When I say assume breach, we already anticipated that we are breached, right? So we are already operating on that mindset and on that mode. We should fortify our responsive and predictive capability as highlighted by Mel. So that even before the breach happened to our organization, we have already a threat intelligence about it and we know how to respond. So in cybersecurity, everything should be mechanized and practiced, no? So if there is a particular attack A, ransomware, there should be a response A for ransomware. Attack B, DDoS, there should be a response B, anti-DDoS. So that's how we operate. And I could not highlight more, the mindset of paranoia and vigilance is a must in this cybersecurity, ever evolving and changing cyber world. For me, that's it. Thank you very much, Dean Michelle.